Good to see you. Let me just give you a couple of seconds on the Hinman. So it's a vision of mine, and I want it fulfilled. So I'm very passionate when I go and speak to dental students, residency programs all around the country. I've spoken to 35,000 students all across this country. Since November, I've spoken to over 1,000. This is a 60. I've got some obviously online. I just came back from District 11 and 10 and 11, where there was 300 in the room. Came to District 4, seat meetings and other dental schools. And my message is why you should own a business. And my passion is a lot of things, but I love the Hinman meeting. I'm a privileged speaker where I get paid to speak. I get paid a lot of money throughout the year to speak at these conferences, and I actually give my money back to Hinman. That's how much I believe in the conference. It's an $8,000 check. I give it back to him. And this past year and years before, I've had this message and try to get young people together in a room, and it's very poorly attended. It's sad. It's like 30 people in a room, and I got 3 hours to communicate with them about all the things I know that they want to learn. It's just poorly attended. And so I went to the Hinman this year and I said, can you do me a favor? Can you allow me to market the event for you? Take responsibility for the event. And I know that if I was in your shoes, I know where you are physically located and I know where Atlanta is. The hurdle that you would have is your time. The hurdle you would have is your $75. What am I going to get? Well, if I put you in a hotel and I buy drinks for you, put you in a party, it's a really nice party on Friday. I can assure you that. Drinks are included. Then on Saturday, I can teach you, I'm going to expand on this lecture tonight, and I have a very powerful motivational lecture by a guy named Mark Hyman that fills up rooms of, 5,000 people. He's going to be a speaker. He's donating his time and his honorarium as well for this cause. I'm going to have a transition panel where we're going to have people that were just like you, young and now own businesses, and so they can tell their stories. The questions we're going to ask the panel, you're going to decide that. I'm going to have questions already that you're asking. I want to know about this. We'll get those all edited, and I got a beautiful partner of mine, and she's going to be the moderator. I'll be up on the panel as well. But the day is going to be expanding on why you should own a business, how to own. Then we're going to go into Mark Hyman's lecture. Then we're going to do lunch I'll cover as well. And then we'll do our transition panel. I'm going to bring established doctors in the room. When you sign up for this, I want you to basically say, Charles, I trust you. This is going to be a great day. Here's my information. And guess what I'm going to do? If you want me to share that information with other doctors, guess what? Now those doctors can reach out to you. And guess what? Doctors established, they can reach out to you. You can reach out to them. You're going to be able to see who attends. So it's like your own private little group of saying, I want to be an owner. I'd like to bring somebody in so you guys can come together. I receive nothing from this other than I'm happy that I put the thing together. It's put a lot of work into it, and I'm committing my personal money, the business's money, and I have a few sponsors for this event to cover this hotel room. It's a bunch of money. Let me just say that right now. Add the rooms up. And so I need your support. I need you to show up. I promise you I will not let you down for a great, fun time on Friday. I'm going to recognize SDBO in front of the entire Hinman group if you show up. You commit to show up, I'm going to make sure that this thing blows up and you get the recognition that you deserve. You're all going to come down and party on the dance floor, just the young people, not the old people. And I'm committed to be fun, all right? I know how to have a good time. So that's what you're going to get. So anyway, I'm very excited about it. Consider it. And I do have, there's already 70 people that are registered. At some point it's limited. Okay? At some point it's limited. And so I've committed to the 50 rooms. That's 100 people. You will room together. I'm not going to tell you who, this group here, there are 50 people going blue, 50 people going. You guys need to coordinate and try to figure out how that's going to work. I'm going to get like little leaders from you and say, help get some emails going around so you guys can put yourself in the same room. That's how this is going to work. So the first thing is, this is what I want. I definitely want to do this. sign up for your second. $75 is honestly, it's just threw the number out there that you're committed to going. Right? Put your credit card down, why? It's a little bit of, oh, I guess if I backed out and let the guy high and dry, at least know who I am and I feel bad. That's why I do it. Okay? I don't need your $75, but I want your $75 just so your commitment. So anyway, that's it. All right? Sound good? Share it with your friends. If that's not something you're interested in, share it with your colleague that you think, you know what, this is gonna be good. So I want to put you guys together, educate you around other successful business owners. Tell me your name again.
Joan.
Joan. Let me just give you a little piece of advice. Joan is a connector. Okay? Everybody that you meet in dentistry is a connector in some way. How can they help you? Is what you need to be thinking. If I was you, I'd be getting Joan's information. Hey, Joan, what's going on? Give her your information and to call. You get her information and you stay on Joan. Hey, I'm a D3. You told me this. You told me this. I haven't heard it from you. I haven't heard from you. You wear her out. You wear everybody out until you create opportunities for yourself. Now you'll create 5, 6, 7 opportunities. You know how the best opportunity is laid out for you. Sound good? Awesome. All right, I'm ready to get my speech going. So you got handouts right there in front of you. You got some pens to take some notes. For our people online, my commitment to you is I will send you the PDF of this presentation, and I will send you a link that you can share this video. And that way, if you want to have more information about what I just talked about and re-listen to it, we're going to give you access to that. All right. So I think about student and leaders, and I think about the future of dentistry. I think about the business of dentistry. And one of the things I want you to know is I know that you're anxious about business of dentistry. That's why you're here. That's why you're in the group. And I want to remind you that you are science, for the most of you, science trained, and that's your background. And I want to remind you that the last 100 years has been the same thing. They're all science people running businesses. And you know what? They're very successful at it. Okay? So I know in your mind, the business of dentistry is a hurdle for you. And I'm not saying it's not a hurdle. I'm just saying don't think of it as this massive hurdle that you can't overcome. There's hundreds of years and literally tens of thousands of people, 100,000+ people, the same mechanical brain, the science, and they did it very successfully. You're going to surround yourself with a team of people to get you through this. Okay? Focus. What is my critical path for you? If I could mold and shape you, I would tell you to focus on clinic. You need to be freaking excellent at clinic. So you're always shadowing, you're doing anything over a break, you are shadowing the best dentist you possibly can. And I will tell you, you're either going to do an AGD or GPR program, or if you want to really be good, I need you to commit to a solid 12 weeks of CE. Those are weekend type courses that you're doing just your first year. You have to be committed to dentistry. And what you're doing when you commit to the clinical side, hands-on courses, it is going to literally transform you so that your confidence is just going to exude. Because in your brain, right now it's telling you, I'm not sure about this first procedure. It's a little nerve-wracking. But once you do this procedure over and over and over again, your brain's like, I got this. It's going to show your posture, it's going to show how you communicate, case acceptance is going to go up, and most importantly, if you're going to work 8 hours in a day, or 7 hours a day, or 6 hours a day, be productive and get out. Be productive. Learn, understand how to get your production up by the hour. And that's why I don't mind if you do work for corporate for that first year. I just need you to be busy. If you're going to go work out of your first year, just work at the busiest possible practice you can. Well, Charles, I have this dad of mine. I have a friend of mine. I got a fee-for-service practice. If the practice is slow and not enough new patients, you're not going to get the experience you need. You don't have to love the person that you go work for, to love the environment you work for. I need this first year to be about busyness. And after that, you take that, then we're going to go and buy a business in some capacity. So we're going to hit tonight, kind of my lecture I'm known for. Is this 5 reasons you must own. This lecture tonight I'm going to do about a 15-minute catch-up version at the Hinman to say, everyone here should have heard me speak and give this message. If not, here's the 15-minute version, and we're going to expand on it in greater detail after that in the Hinman. If you've heard me speak this before, you'll learn a little something new, a different story, or some maybe motivator. I forgot to, you didn't teach me that last time, now I'm learning this again. We're going to teach the 5 reasons you're going to own a business. The 5 things that corporate will never tell you. You're going to make more money. You have equity in the business, great tax planning, great pension planning, and you'll be in control of your own destiny. When I mean in control of your own destiny, you get to decide what days you work. This is the procedures you do. How many days a week? What time do you leave in the day? I had a big group this past weekend in Vegas, and female asked a question. She goes, does it make sense to own a practice 3 days a week? Her question was. Well, I got into her business and said, well, I'm going just to assume something. I assume you're probably thinking about kind of work-life balance. Maybe you're thinking about children. She goes, exactly. So I said, okay, let's talk about that. Would it be cool to work 3 days a week and maybe work 3 days a week with a partner? Yep. Well, then now you need to understand the math of a 3-day practice. There's only so much dentistry you're going to be able to do unless you become very fast at it. Okay? In general, I need to see your production, your doctor production, doing around $60,000 a month. I need you to get there. So if you can do $60,000 a month in 3 days or 4 days, this is a 2-year goal, ideally 12 months if you can get there. I'm going to get to the point. If you are doing less than that, then all of a sudden you're not producing enough. And if you're working 3 days a week in this practice and say it's only doing 600, 700,000, what's happening here is you're not creating enough revenue, but you got these costs. Rent is the same, your electricity is the same, you got marketing is here, and then you got people that are not quite busy, so they're kind of standing around. So you're not as profitable. So the 700 collection practice maybe is making around 250, 275, something like maybe 300. Nothing wrong with that. But if I can take the practice with 2 people and go from maybe 700 and 2 people now work 3 days a week and have crossover, they all of a sudden pull more from the employees, lower that fixed cost and rent and things like that. Now the $1.4 million practice is not netting like 250 and 250 like 500. The same $1.4 million practice, because we combine and work with them together, are making somewhere around 650, 675. So now they're making like $75 to $80 more thousand a year between the 2 of them. This starts to make financial sense, and if they want to do more, 7, 8, 9, then again we'll become more and more profitable. So you have to learn and understand the economics of the business of dentistry. You would want to understand. You're going to surround yourself with good CPAs and good people that understand this, so you can see what the next dollar of income will be and what the profit will be towards you. So anyway, it's just, there's so much to teach in this. It's like I have a podcast that's got 180,000 plays on it now, of just these individual subjects of how this would work. So let's get going. So you have your handouts there. So that is kind of the who and why. As you may remember, I own a business along with 10 other, now not 10 other partners. It is now 12 partners. I just brought two new partners in. So we have 13 partners now in our business. So Kane Waters is a large CPA firm. We're in Dallas, and we only work with dentists. We have 3,000, about 2,900 dentists all across the country. And they come to Dallas, financial planning, tax planning, pension planning. This company, Kane Waters, is not for you at this time. Kane Waters is there as a business when you're a dentist, you're an owner, and you make $400,000. Right? So we don't have our dental license yet, and you certainly don't make any money. Right? So this is not for you yet. But when you make $400,000 and you're an owner as a dentist, you're going to have a different set of problems. That's what our Kane Waters clients solve is those problems. Okay? This is equipment that you're buying. This is expansion. This is bringing in an associate. This is buying a building. It's tax planning. It's how to save for retirement. It's the personal financial planning side on what to do with your money. It's the house. It's the second kid. It's the third kid. The spousal income now is a stay-home spouse. These are going to be changes that are going to happen for you. King Waters is guiding you through this financial journey and what to do. So that's where I started, and I still am an owner of that. This particular company, which is a potential resource for you, is NDP. And NDP is the company that would help and represent you become an owner. So we start today with a lecture, build a relationship with you, teach you on how to do it, and then ultimately, now you take the information and go hire your own team to help you become the owner, our firm, or somebody else. The idea and concept is, let's just educate you through this. So we're going to learn on our why, we'll talk about how to do it, your 30-year career's journey, very quickly on how to start a business and what to think about, student debt, and a good deal and a bad deal. All right, so I would expect for you, when you come out of your D4 program, to be slow. So you're going to finish, get your license somewhere around, call it May, June, and you start practicing. I would expect that first month you're only doing around $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month after that, 22, 23, 24, oh, I got a 30. Okay, somewhere by December, my goal for you in that 6-month period, you did $30,000 of just doctor. Remember, you're only getting paid on your doctor, you're not getting paid on hygiene. So then you start figuring out how much you're doing by the hour, how long does it take you, and what could you do to get faster. Okay, let's get in and out, people. Learn how to do the dentistry and go home. Spend time with your family, do whatever you want to do. So there's no need to work this 5 days a week and open this after hours stuff. It's ridiculous. Open on Saturdays. It is ridiculous to think that you're going to have to open Saturdays, quote, because corporate does. It is a joke. It is a joke. Best practices, no matter what it is, are not opening on the weekends. Okay? Chick-fil-A chooses to close on Sunday. They've got it figured out. They're choosing to do what they want to do. And they still have a line around the corner. Okay? Pick your own schedule. Pick your own schedule, what you want to do. I've told this story 100 times. Female pediatric dentist in Dallas, Texas for 30 freaking years. Opened her practice at 8 a.m. and closed at 3. What's the busiest time in a pedo practice? Afternoon. Why she just closed? She had 4 kids. Amazing. Line out the door. Booked out. Now she sold to a male, and he didn't care. I mean, we expanded to, brought an associate and went, and opened till 5:30. That was his choice. She was in charge. One of the reasons you own a business is you're in charge. You decide what you want to do. She ran $1.3 million, $1.4 million practice with a 50% overhead. Makes $600,000 for a 30-year career. Did financially extremely, extremely well. So, general dentistry, you need to get your speed up. So my goal is ultimately, by that year, you're somewhere around 60,000 of restorative. 60,000 times 12, that's about 720. 720 times your percentage you would be paid is around 27%. That math works out to be that you would get paid as an associate about $200,000. Everybody understand the math on that? This is the nodding time, or fake the nod, okay? 60,000 times 12 is 720. 720 times 20%, 27%. That's how you're going to get paid. That is your associate compensation, right? So the next thing you need to know is, what if you are checking hygiene as the associate, which you are? Then what is the percentage of hygiene that you would end up checking? So the general rule that you want to make a note of, if I'm doing about 720, 750,000 in chairs 1 and 2, this means over here in hygiene, I'm checking 2 full-time hygienists, and these 2 full-time hygienists are generating about 250,000 of collections, or say it differently, the practice that quote-unquote you are running between the 2 restorative chairs and checking hygiene, you're basically running $1 million practice. Everybody see that? Question you have is, how much would I make if I ran the practice on my own and not just got paid on the restorative? Say it differently. How much is the owner making off of me? Right? So the $1 million practice, you run it effectively, should have a 55% overhead. That means you net 45 cents. Or, say it differently, you're making $450,000. $250,000 more a year for being the owner. Are you at risk? Sure. Your risk of being an associate? 100%. 100% you're at risk. How do you think how am I at risk? I don't know. Somebody at corporate, which is real, they're literally on computers, they're looking at you, going, office number 121, let's see, who is he or she? Why is her production down to 2,500 a day when she was doing 32? Let's get somebody in there, or let's bring she's working at 2 chairs, let's get another dentist in there to show her that, these patients are not just going to be going there. We need to get that number up. And all of a sudden the competition kicks in at your particular office, your production now even gets squeezed tighter, creates a little competition between the two of you, and all of a sudden your income goes down. You're getting frustrated now with the corporate environment, and now you're looking for something else. You are at risk at all times when you don't own the business. You're at risk a little bit as an owner? Sure. What's the success rate as an owner? 99.5%. 99.5%. That's the success rate with the dental loan. Or, say it differently, only 0.5% of dental loans fail because you all of a sudden just can't do this anymore. Okay, you failed as a dentist. Not saying that you can't do it, but I'm going to bet 99.5% of the time that you can do this. Especially if you're taking time out of your evening to come to a business learning exercise through an organization like this. You're going to be fine. Just surround yourself and remind yourself that this is a task, but it can be easily achieved. So, you're going to make $450,000. That is $250,000 more. 30-year journey, basically you're 30 going all the way to basically 60. That's $7.5 million more for doing the same general dentistry and checking the same hygiene. Okay? Number one thing that the corporate's never going to tell you. They're going to tell you, oh, come work here. This group or this group, and I got to know them all. Oh, well, what we do is different in our DSO. Well, we actually allow our associates to have an equity position in there. Let me guess. It's like 10%, and you have to buy it for $250,000, and now it's a stock, and the stock's going to do this and that. Okay? I want to remind you, $7.5 million is what you're leaving up. So the question is, if I do this dentistry, how much am I giving back up to this DSO? Run the math, because that's a math question with an answer. Oh, I haven't talked about tax money. When you work for that corporate and you quote-unquote have an equity position, there is no tax money. That's zero. You make $300,000 to $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, you have tax problems. Tax problems, and those are severe tax problems. You don't own a business, you have issues. I myself own a business. I save over $200,000 a year in a pension plan. That means I don't pay taxes on over $200,000. It's a great thing. I'm getting like a 40% discount. 37% to be exact. This is an amazing vehicle for me to accumulate wealth and to drop taxes. I have children on my payroll. I have cars. I have storage I go out to eat on. You have an ability to control your destiny by owning. It's up to you which way you want to. Just educate yourself about the private practice before you make those decisions, even the equity position that perhaps corporate may offer you. This one here is you own it, and so now it's worth something. What is your name? Nick? Okay. Nick and Madison. Okay. I'm going to start off as the old guy, and I have $1 million practice and a GP. There's a number I physically can't do anymore. Typically, that number is around $1.3 million. I love it when you do $1.3 million, or I love it, if Nick comes in and says, hey, I'm looking at my practice. If he figures out that I got $1.3 million practice and it's got 6 chairs and I've got 40 new patients a month, I'm referring all these things out, this is a great practice for both of us because Nick is going to help me grow the business. So I bring Nick in. The practice is primed and ready to take off. And now Nick grows it with me, and we're doing 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. He's doing really good. I'm kind of getting like, oh, this is awesome. Cut back a little bit. Now we're he's like, hey, what's the deal with partnership? So, well, let's talk about it, and then, let's do another story. He's not interested in partnership. He's not bringing it up. I'm like, hey, you want to partner? No, I'm not sure. We're now doing $2 million together. So like, well, I can't do anymore. Nick can't do anymore. He just kind of clocks in and clocks out. Madison here wants to join the practice. So Madison comes to the practice, she's like, what's the deal? I was like, well, I want to be an owner. She's pushing ownership. All right, I got a $2 million practice, 55% overhead. Here's my new patients. I just built this office. Madison, come on in. I want you to work with me for 2 years, and then here's how it's going to work. She comes in, we're doing $2 million now. Madison comes in, we're doing 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, and we are ready now to value the business and for her to buy in. I value the 2.5 business, and maybe it's valued at $2 million for simplicity. She wants to buy in half. She's doing the same amount of work. I like her. She likes me. We like our spouses. You know, the team is like, she's awesome. We've taken our Spears courses together. This is an amazing, amazing new business partnership marriage that Madison and I are taking advantage of. And we're going to take advantage of Nick for doing this work and him deciding he don't want to buy. That's okay. If Nick leaves, I'll bring her in or whoever. The value of the business. I had just taken out $1 million out of my business because of this little thing right here. I don't know. I did this for 5 years, have a great business. 2 years later, maybe at year 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe I buy a $1.3 million practice today, and 2 years later I bring the guy in. Now, maybe resell the business within a matter of years. Pull the equity out. Well, they won't tell you that. They'll never tell you that one. Oh, well, you're going to appreciate this, and the stock goes up, and okay. You run your own financial plan, and you're going to bet on a corporate stock, one stock. You're going to bet on a corporate stock? How about this one? You! Bet on you. That's what I'm betting on. I'm going to bet on me. And then I'm partnered with, a bunch of CPAs, and I honestly think they're about 10 times smarter than me. That's who I want to partner with, somebody really smart. It's like always thinking ahead. That's who you want to be partnered with. You want to look at somebody that is kind of outkicked your coverage talent-wise, and like, that's awesome. Same with your spouse. You're picking your spouse like, this is a really good spouse. I can't believe she is falling in love with me. I don't know what I did. That's what we're looking for here. So, you need to accumulate a bunch of money, people. You're going to have to accumulate roughly between $8 and $10 million. Liquid money to prepare for retirement. That basically says you are 30 today, broke, that you understand the cost of goods and services today are going to be more expensive tomorrow. That's inflation. And in 30 years, how much is stuff today going to be tomorrow? My average client at Kane Waters, remember I got a bunch of stats. I've done this a long time. I got 2,900 dentists. When they retire, somewhere around 60, your parents basically, they have something in common. They have paid off their debt, for the most part. We're going to get them to pay off their debt. All the kids are kicked out. They're downsizing the big house to this house, having a little fun, and we're starting to see what they spend. They're spending about $15,000 a month in today's dollars. Okay? So if you know inflation, and you can know that $15,000 is reasonable, then $15,000, not today, but tomorrow, is $30,000 with inflation. Stuff's going to be more expensive tomorrow. Okay, so I understand 30, broke, and I need a bunch of money, apparently enough to give me a check for $30,000 a month or $360,000 a year. This is the problem. How are you going to do that? You will accumulate, this example, $8.5 million. How are you going to do that? Well, you're going to start saving. You start saving $70,000, $80,000 a year. Save that for 30 years, and with a return on your investment of roughly 8%, which that's the history of the stock market, you're going to get there. It's a very painful process to save. It's not natural. It is, you're foregoing something you want today for tomorrow. It's not natural. The people that have great wealth, that have woken up with it, will tell you the discipline part about it. By owning a business, you'll be the ability to start saving at $70,000, $80,000. Now, let's be honest. I've done this lecture before. There's a couple of things I just said that have kind of freaked you out. Number one thing that freaked you out is you're going to need $8 to $10 million. Like, that's a big number. Number two thing, I just told you that you're going to need to save about $80,000 a year. And in your mind is, I don't think he understands I'm in $400,000 of dental school debt, and I might make like 150 when I get out. I do understand your situation. And I'm not going to ask you to save $70,000, $80,000. I'm going to ask you to save $70,000 to $80,000 a year. When? When you own the business. When you own a business that makes a lot of money. What if the business makes $200,000 a year and you own a business? No. What's your issue? It's a 500 collection practice. It's got 3 chairs to it. It's got 10 new patients. And you're caught up. What's your issue? Saving for retirement? Backdoor Roth? Setting up a pension plan? No. Grow the practice. It's not effective. It's not efficient. We need to grow. That 500 collection practice is probably going to net about 150. Back to fixed costs. People, they're standing around. The 500,000 practice makes 150. The $1 million practice makes $400,000. So listen to the math. The first 500, you had a 70% overhead. You only made $150,000 for doing this work. Think of like Monday and Tuesday, you went to work, and you only made $150. But on Wednesday and Thursday, you made $250 for the same work. Why? Fixed cost. You just get more out of it. If this place was renting out every single night, they'd be extremely profitable. If they only rent 1 or 2 times out, that's profitable because you got fixed costs. You understand? It's important to get that process and the mindset understood because we got to grow, this business. But when you make that $1 million, your issues are going to be very, very. You're going to be stressed when you have a $1 million practice and make $400,000. What is your number one issue when you make $400,000? I've told you before, but go ahead and tell me. So the number one issue you have, taxes. So how much are taxes? All you do have to do on the single person is that $300,000. That means you're working for corporate. You're doing about $70,000, $75,000 a month. You've been there a few years. You're getting a 30, 31% basically at corporate at this point because you've been there. They're giving you a percentage increase. Now you're doing $1 million restorative, checking a bunch of hygiene. Now you're making it to $300,000. What's your tax planning strategy as an employee? That's a 0. There's no strategy as an employee. Go get your TurboTax online and do it yourself. Interest, your home, your kids, your spouse, something like that. Goodwill, church. Check a box. File it. That's how much you owe. The government will tell you how much you owe. Business owners tell the government how much they're going to pay. See the difference? So, taxes are going to be your problem. If you look at that tax bracket right there, you're 35% federal, plus your state tax. In this case for Kentucky, I don't know, it's about 5%.
4.5 now.
4.5. So 35 and 4.5, I'll round it up. It's 40%. The last $70,000 you took home as a single person between $230 and $300, 40% tax. 40. You understand how taxes are your problem. So, as an owner now, we make $400,000. I don't want to pay tax on $400,000. How much do you want to save in your pension plan? How much can you save? Well, you can save, in this case, $80,000 between you and your spouse. So watch this math. I make $400,000, and I'm an employee. 0 tax plan. Now I'm an owner. So I want to take an $80,000 deduction for a pension plan. Because how am I going to save all that money in the $78,000? Because you're going to set a pension plan up. It's for retirement. You get a tax section for that. So $400,000, I deduct $80,000. I don't pay tax on that. So now my tax bracket is down to $320,000. Now, let's just say in this example, I have 4 kids. They're on the payroll for $12,000 each. They have some capacity and work they do. I just took my daughter out to Vegas with me. So that's round up to $50,000. So now I'm at $320,000. I'm at $270,000 tax bracket. I eat out a lot. $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. Now I'm down to, $250,000 or so. I've got cars I take a percentage on. I rent my house out for parties for dentists that are my friends. I travel to Cabo. And I'm really pushing that tax bracket down. Legit. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. buy the real estate, appreciate, run that down. It's a game. You can hate it or love it. People that never pay taxes will hate the rich, hate the rich. When you make a lot of money, you understand taxes, tax planning, and it'll never change. Too many politicians that make too many money. They'll always have, it's not going to just go some simple tax bracket. It will be complicated for a reason. It gives people incentives to buy stuff and to do stuff. So you guys do this. How much you can put, 20,000+ a year, you've got plenty of opportunity. So you know you can do this. So back to Nick and back to Madison. When you get out of school, I've shared with you, get out of school, get the experience. Next thing I'm going to tell you to do is get some cash. And the reason you're going to get cash is because lending, banks are going to need to see you have liquidity. They need to see that you're going to have about $60,000 in the bank. That's my ideal number for you. You're saving $60,000 of just cash. But wait, Charles, I have $400,000 of dental school debt, or $500 or $300 or $250, and it has a 6% interest rate, and now the government turned back on the interest, and I need to pay that off. That is an emotion that you have. It's an emotion that you have. Get rid of that emotion. You have invested this amount of money to be the top 1%. The top 1% of the income earners is right here. Just need to take advantage of it. And you're going to be an owner, you need liquidity, you need cash. The bank will not lend you money if you're broke. Remember this one. The bank will not lend you money if you were broke. This guy's doing $60,000 a month. She's doing $60,000 a month. They're both doing $720,000. They both make $200,000 at corporate America. I have a business. It's for sale. I'd like to sell it to both of them. They look online and they find it. I interview both of them. I like them both. As a matter of fact, I can't remember. I got to make one person bad, and you can't make the girl bad. So I don't know how I'm going to do this, but so I like this guy the most. I think I want a male for my practice, that guy. So I like him more than you. But this guy decides, because his emotions, he wants to pay down his debt from $300,000 down to whatever, $220,000. I got Smart Madison here. There's my backup plan to sell my practice. But she's a smart one. They both went to the bank. He got declined. He gave me cash. She's a smart one. She's got the cash. I'm like, well, now I like her more. And I sell to her. And we get the deal done. The great thing about this story is the $60,000 that she has in cash was just there for show. It's not a down payment. The bank gave her 100% of the deal. It's pretty simple. Critical path, get out of school, get that experience, commit to this clinical part, get this cash, and then market yourself, the connectors, and everybody you can. Look at 4, 5, 6, 7 opportunities. Then you identify which one is the best, and boom, we'll find and knock this out. Episodes on the NDP podcast, yeah. On lending, it's like 20, 30-minute episodes. Definitely. I've done a lot of cool things in life, and I'm good at this. I'm not good at a lot of other things, okay? Like my home is like, I got constantly crap broken, okay? I don't fix anything. You're that YouTube person that fixes stuff? I'm not. I'm a cell phone guy that says, come fix it. I have no idea. I'm just like, I prefer not to deal with anything in my house. I just tell my wife, I love you so much, you tell me the problems, and either I'll call or you call. I'm good at this, I do that. So, I'm telling you, one of the things I'm most proud about is this podcast. NDP podcast. No commercials on it. I don't get a kickback from any sponsors. Nothing. No commercial. Teaching you how to do it. So definitely listen. Question over here.
Yeah, how does bank view assets? Say you own your home. Does that kind of equate to liquidity or?
Yep. So the question is, let's say you had $0, but you had $1 million house and value, and it had $500,000 in your mind. No. You have $500,000 already. If you were going to play that game, then you would maybe pull a refinance or pull some type of equity out of the home in some capacity to let it sit there, and you absolutely could do that. It's one way to get around it. Great question. It's cash. Yeah.
How long would it need to sit there if you pulled equity out?
It depends on the bank. If you're trying to buy like a $2 million practice and grandma just runs over, the day before close, or the day before you put your application into the big bank and sees $100 grand, they're going to ask for your bank statements. So, if you know you're going to do this and grandma is going to give you some money, yeah, maybe let's get grandma to start moving the money over in a 6-month period, a little bit here and there. Because they will ask for your bank statements. And asking you where the money came from. It's just literally a gift from grandma. Yeah. You can't, if the bank asks you, and you're supposed to give the money back, and they say, well, I just put the money in there for show, but I'm going to give it back to grandma. I'm going to leave it up to you what story you tell to the bank, and I'm not trying to tell you to lie or deceive, but I'm just telling you, if you're going to play the game, you need to answer the questions correctly to get the loan. Question back there? Yes?
Do stocks count as equity?
Is what?
Stocks. If you invested in a stock.
Yeah, as long as those are liquid stocks, like a true stock that has liquidity. Something like private stock that's not actually a public stock. In other words, if you can go tomorrow and sell that stock, then absolutely. And it's in your name, then yes, absolutely. It's like you had some shares at a bank, but it's not public, but here's the financial statement showing it's just, no. Something that's got liquidity to it. Ideally, they like to see the cash like in a normal bank, but stocks, IRAs, even some banks they don't like the IRAs and that maybe you started. They want to see something that you can pull out. Stock is like an after-tax investment. IRA is kind of stuck in there with some penalties to try to get out. They don't like that. Question here, yes, sir.
What about owner lending?
What's that?
Owner lending?
Absolutely. If the owner wants to lend you money for the practice, we'll take an example. It's $1 million practice. The price is $800,000, and the seller says, "Hey, I really like you. I want to do owner financing with you, and let's say the rate is 4%. Perfect. That's exactly what the market is today at 4%, and doesn't show up in your credit report. Now you have a deal with him or her, and then we can go and borrow more money from the Pattersons and the Shines and whoever else for the equipment investments that we might need for that practice." I love it. Most sellers were not going to do that because there's too much risk. I would not ever advise my client to do it. I want the money up front. But if they want to do that, a family member, for example, absolutely. I love that idea. Yeah, great question. So get out of school, get the experience, make a lot of money. Remember, what's our biggest issue when we make a lot of money? Say it again. Taxes. Next thing is, what is the biggest tax deduction that you can take as a business owner? That's the pension plan. That's that 401k. How much? That $80,000+ for you and your spouse. Okay. Lastly, step 6 is you're going to pay that dental school debt. That is step 6 after we save all that money. So talking about the mail campaign, and I was so excited to speak to Kent Miller today. So Kent Miller is with Denta Graphics. I've known him since he started the business back in 2014. I have literally sent Denta Graphics, like a demographic company that just focused on dentistry, and they're amazing. And so I was talking to him today, and I'm inviting him. I'll say this. I'll tell a story first, and I'll tell you. But they have a product that will allow students, in this case your organization, to have access to their data. And he was telling me about a mail campaign. I'm like, are you kidding? The mail campaign? So one of the things that I've been teaching for, 15 years, is how to create opportunities. Networking is one of them. People that rotate through your faculty that are coming in on the clinical side, I would know every one of them, their contact information. It would be in my phone. And I'd be able to communicate with them like, hey, remember I'm going here. But this plan is you need to expand this networking and do direct mail. So this direct mail campaign I've done for years. I'm very particular. I even told Kent this. I was like, dude, I can sell Denta Graphics. I can sell that you guys are going to do the mail campaign for them. But tell me what your letter system's like. Well, we do white letters, this and that. I'm like, I like yellow letters. Okay? So we're on the same page as far as marketing to dentists. He has that service now. It's like a couple bucks a person. So 100 people you would mail, you might spend $250 to mail letters directly to 100 people in your target area that you came up with. Let me give you a heads up. You're $400,000 in debt, spend another $250 and have someone mail letters for you? That might create an opportunity. This is a good thing. I will approve of you going into more $400,000, $250 in debt. This is something you need to do. You do it on your own and save your $250 and just put the the letters together yourself. But you're going to put together this beautiful campaign. I love the 9x12 envelopes. I love the 2 in the from a doctor to a doctor. Love the personal and confidential, and I love like really big tape on the back, and it needs to be kind of ugly. Like just don't make it perfect, okay? And you need to mail this letter. Inside's got a cover letter. I'm very particular what this cover letter says. Something about you, dentistry, spouse, dogs, kids, what you enjoy, why you're looking in this area. It needs to be a personal story. If you're not a writer, have someone write it for you, okay? I have a lot of articles that I have printed, things that I put out. I wrote about 70% of it, okay? Someone else is making me look really pretty in everything that I produce, okay? It's not my skill set. Skill sets are ideas, vision of how to do it, and then I get people around to help it. Same thing. You write a letter, just make sure it is perfect, telling your story. So you can do 100 custom letters, go to the area, and then ultimately, this is going to create a return on your investment. I have seen anywhere between 7 to 10 of those letters come back for general dentistry. 7 to 10. Do you have a question? Or you just...
I just got a text from Louisville. They have a question.
Yeah, awesome.
Should one postpone buying a home to save more for a practice?
I don't like the home purchase, and that's a great question. I don't like the home purchase because here's what happens, is our emotions say renting and buying the house, whatever, this is better, build equity. All you do is own a home to figure out it is a money trap, okay? If I start factoring in all my taxes, all of this, this breaks down, all the, the yard and this maintenance and all that, it's expensive to own a home. It's not this saving grace that you're now a billionaire because of real estate. The first thing I would tell you to do, save the cash, buy the practice. Then once I buy the practice, 100% I would own the home near where my practice was. And I'm talking from a dad standpoint. I want you to live next to the practice so you're not stuck in traffic. This is crazy. I have always lived 1 to 2 miles from where I lived since I had kids. I immediately went to their school lunches. I went to pick them up. Now, I may have been on the phone, a 3 o'clock call, and they know. But I went to their activities. I coached soccer because it was just right on the road. It's important as going to be as a mom and important as to be as a dad. Try to be home and practice that are very, very close. You're in your community. You will see people. It makes a lot of sense for me. Then I would buy the home. And there's banks now that will start lending just from the fact that you're a DDS, kind of like an MD. They'll do. Yeah, they're starting to really get in. I got a couple of leads on that now. It's like, oh, that's cool, because that has been a problem in the past. So yeah, that is definitely my order. So good question there. So let's get these letters out. And then episode 4 on the podcast is now not just I got the lead, but what do I do? So the podcast is really teaching you a lot of conversation, how to grab the information from the practice. You'll eventually get tax returns, profit and loss statements. You're going to get, if there's evaluation, you're going to know things about the practice. Now that you have that information, you'll need somebody to basically explain it to you. Self-serving, that's what NDP does. We'll do a complimentary, for free, an hour review plus an hour phone call to show you what we see. If you send me a practice that's crappy, $500,000 practice with a $500,000 price tag, and it makes $100,000, and it's Medicaid, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, sell me on what you're seeing here. Well, I don't know, I want you to tell me. Are you listening to the podcast? Oh, no. Well, my assistant reached out to you to say, you should listen to the podcast, especially these episodes, because you're looking at a practice, because this is what we're looking for. This is not telling me that we're on the same page. That's the purpose of that, is to educate you. You send me some $1 million practice, 800 price tag, with 5 chairs, and the price is $850, and you're literally saying, I can't wait to talk to Charles, my spouse, and I know he's going to love it. I am so excited when I see him, because I know what's going to happen. I know it's going to work. We want to look at practices that make financial sense for you. Okay? Great example. A girl named Mary, love her to death. I think I've had about 4 phone calls with her. She's really sweet though. I like Mary. She sent me like 4 opportunities again. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, what are we going to talk about again? Because that one doesn't make any sense. But she failed to tell me a little bit about opportunity number 3. She's an orthodontist by trade. And the pediatric dentist is going to be a startup practice. You never do a startup in ortho unless you're married to a pedo or you're going to be next door to a pediatric dentist. That's exactly what this opportunity was. She had an opportunity to partner with this one, this corporate thing. And I'm like, no, Mary, we're doing a startup. And it's going to be right next to those 2 pediatric dentists, and they actually own more offices. And guess what? If they say that they want you to pay $4,500 rent, we're going to pay them $5,100 rent. If they say they want X amount of finish out, we're going to say, why don't we just give you some of the finish out money back? Because we really want to be here. That is how much the value is from the pedo to work next to the ortho. It's an incredible relationship. So I love to spend time with people and see it and say, this is what you need to go do. Do it for free and then motivate them to go get more information. And so I think we finally found the right deal for Mary. But get the information, tax returns, everything about the practice, and then obviously, have somebody look at it. It doesn't have to be our friend anybody that you trust. It's a dental CPA that understands the business of dentistry. Let's move into partnerships. Many of you want to work in some type of partnership. So back to Nick. So what I want you to do is, if you're in Nick's shoes and you want to work as an associate in a private practice that potentially leads to a partnership, then what you would want to do is Nick needs to interview or somehow find out about my practice. My practice needs to support him. So the number of chairs, 4 is not enough. Minimum 5, ideally 6 chairs should be in that practice. 6. 2 for him, 2 for me, and 2 for hygiene. Okay? The chairs are important. The total collections are going to be important. In this case, $1.3 million. Why? Because if I have a good overhead, which he would need to ask at some point in the interview, he asked, do you mind, Dr. Loretto, sharing with me the financials of the practice? Oh, I don't feel comfortable. This is a bad sign. The response should be absolutely. I mean, Nick, what do you want to know? You got $1.3 million practice, got a 55% overhead, you got a pension plan, got 6 chairs, here's my equipment, I got 14 patients a month, I've got, here's fee for service of the practice, I've got 80% of it, I take 1 Delta Premier, I've got, I refer out Endo, I refer out this and that. My goal for you, Nick, is that you come in, I'm going to cut back a little bit, and I need for you to take some of these courses so we can keep this stuff in-house. This is good. I'm like, Nick, don't mess this up. This is I call it coaching call. If you're going to be an associate somewhere, situation where you give me a little information, I talk to you, write notes. Because we're not messing that up. Because I like this. Now, it's important what Nick does next and how you grab the information, the associate agreement, what's in it, hard conversations eventually before who's going to help us in the valuation, at what point is there a partnership, what are we doing with the real estate. There's going to be some coaching we need to get him and eventually get the information out of the senior doctor so we don't run into the situation where I take advantage of Nick after year 2 and 3 and 4 and then go, I think I changed my mind. Or I take my $2 million practice with Nick and I just sell it to corporate for $3 million and go, you want to stay or not? Don't care, because corporate just gave me $3 million bucks. Okay? On you to learn about the practice and then to push the process in a nice professional way. Not too much is going to put away. Kind of like, very similar in dating, right? You don't want to push the guy on the first date with marriage and kids and religion and all of that stuff. That's too much, right? Same with the guy. Can't do all this either. It's a nice balance of them building a relationship, but eventually it's got to be a little bit, is this going to work or not? Because once you're in that practice, signing an associate agreement working, you lose all leverage. All leverage. You kind of stop. Then you get used to making your money and don't want to change. And it makes me concerned. So this practice here, $1.3 million, that is definitely $1.2 million, $1.1 million. That's good. And I like the new patients, somewhere around 30 plus, and I like the chairs. Anything on that? Hey, I am looking at a practice. You said something that made me nervous. You know, if I was going in as an associate, what else would you ask? Let's have a question, because that's just a big thing. Yes?
How do you go about asking for potential like upside provisions compared to if you're in a situation you're looking for a buyout within, like you said, 24 months or something? How do you not push too hard if you also think you can expand quickly and you don't want to like get screwed, so you want potential upside provisions?
So let me say, I think is what you're saying. We're talking about you're a D4, you come out, and it's $1.2 million practice, and you're concerned maybe in 24 months that it grows to like $1.7 million, that you're paying more for the practice. Is that what you're concerned about?
Yeah, I'm just saying while you're still in that associateship role, and you really think you're the missing piece that can allow for the business to expand, maybe to double, and the person drags out the buyout, but you want to actually have provisions in there, so you're not waiting around while they just continue to charge you extra. Yeah.
I have that on my podcast. There's an episode that talks about the associate contract called the conditions of satisfaction. So you have maybe identified. So the question is, I got $1.3 million practice, and this young man is so confident he thinks the practice is going to 2.6, and he is going to take all these courses and add to the practice, and I don't doubt that that couldn't happen. Part of it is I have the practice, I've got the patients, I've got the brand, and I'm going to take a huge risk to bring you on. And if you ask me and push me too hard to say I want the practice value now, I'm going to say bye-bye. I'm going to lose money a little bit along the way. I'm adding the 4th and 5th chairs. I'm not going to get quote-unquote credit for that. I'm marketing for you. I'm taking time off and trusting, redoing some of your work. There's a big investment on the selling doctor's part. And where's the balance? I would say, maybe after, let's say you start working in the 23 calendar year in June, I would want at the latest, using the 24 financial numbers, 23 and 22. Now, in your mind, you're thinking the 24 numbers are really high and we're just taking a 90% number of that. It's not the case. When you do evaluation of a business, you're actually looking at the last 3 calendar years. You are putting some weight on that, but you want a little bit of the senior doctor to get a little equity of that. Now, if you negotiate and they do it before, great. If you negotiate after 6 months, that's great as well. Depends who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the senior doctor, and you together, I'm probably using around 12 to 18 month period and cutting that date off and using that date of going back. And if I'm talking to you, maybe it's 6 to 12 months. Okay? You want to be fair. Gotta be fair. It's a great question, and very common question as far as when do you value the practice. No offense to you. You may believe that you were the person that drove the practice. That is where I'm going to hurt your feelings. Because it's no offense that if Nick May came into the practice where I bring Nick back down. So Nick comes in, I think I brought the practice up, and Nick leaves. Okay, guess what? I have a relationship with the patients. Patients have a relationship with the practice. They're not going to be like, where did Nick go? I don't remember his last name, but where did he go? That's how it works. They have a relationship with the practice. So at some point, somebody else comes in and does his work. So where's the fine balance? Somewhere in there that he's asking really, really good questions, how the process is going to work. The doctor, the senior doctor, it's his responsibility, it's her responsibility to lead how the process is going to work. If they're saying, I'm not really sure about the transition, we'll just talk about it here in another year or so, I'm hesitant. Why can't we have these conversations now? Why can't we pick a company, a transition company, pick a valuation company to interview us, to listen to our goals so that we can come up with a fair plan? So I know what we're doing. I promised my wife that I would have a plan. Whatever. Create your own story. Just don't sell yourself short that you're just going to hope that this guy or gal figures it out. Women in dentistry typically will figure it out for their future partner. Men kind of drag things on. Just know that. They kind of drag it on. And they're good about dragging a lot of things on, to be quite honest. All right, partnership. Any other partnerships? And I'll move on quickly just to a start practice real quick. Expectations, $1.3 million, all that. I would assume by 2 years it's probably about $1.8 million, $1.9 million. Very realistic. If it's a 600 GP practice with 10 new patients, it's just not going to grow. You're going to be starving. Great lead in to this next slide, which is starting a practice from scratch. I am not a fan. I am not a fan of starting a practice from scratch unless you're an oral surgeon, unless you're a pediatric dentist, unless you're an endodontist, unless you're an orthodontist that is next door to 2 pediatric dentists. If you're a general dentist, here's the map. First of all, the questions you need to learn is, okay, so I'm really trying to get to $1 million practice, because that sounds like that's a sweet spot, and that's where you make a lot of money. And average dentist that we work with does $1.3 million GP. That's $550. That's my average King Waters client. $1.3 million collections. That's around $500,000. 4 days a week. Nothing crazy. This is you, people. This is you. This is, well, the ADA or the other practices, this is you. You can do this. This is my average client. They probably brought in consultants, yes. They probably have a good CPA firm. They probably are driven. They probably took CE. Yes, they probably did. Work hard right when you get out. Own the business. Create a demand. Then you pull back some. Okay? Pull back because you have people and systems in place. If you start a practice from scratch, you have 0 patients. 0. The practice that you bought that does $1 million, they have about 1,500 to 1,800 active patients. So what you're really saying is, if I start from scratch and I have 0 patients, I need to get to 1,800 active patients to get to the $1 million practice. This is a correct statement. So you start with 0 patients, you're $600,000 in debt from your startup, you're $400,000 in debt from your dental school, that's $1 million. You just signed a lease for $7,000 a month for the new startup practice. That is a legal liability, and at 10 years, that's $840,000 on top of the $1 million you just borrowed, on top of your home debt. This is a very stressful situation, and reminder, you got 0 patients. So I'm not saying you can't do this. I've got a podcast guy I interviewed in the Carolinas. I think he did Ideal Practices. I think that was the consulting company he used. And he goes, Charles, went to VCU. He's like, Charles, I need your help. I've always known about King Waters, and I'm ready to hire King Waters. Like, awesome. I was like, let's talk. What's the deal? He's like, well, I did a startup. I'm like, okay. And he has like six months in. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, we did like 80,000 last month. What? You did 80,000 on your 6 months of a startup? I go, how's that possible? You have to have like 60, 70, 80 patients a month. He goes, yeah, you're right, 80. I was like, holy crap. This is flat out amazing. This doesn't even exist. I was like, what consultant did you use? Like, tell me about it. I was so intrigued. I was like, can you interview on the podcast? It's awesome. Very rare. Very rare. Not saying you can't do it. Surround yourself with somebody. Pick the right spot. Dentographics. Pick marketing. Be a driver. Have the brand. And make sure you got all the systems so when that website goes live and the phones go live, that phone is ringing 100%. It's just unusual. Again, it's not saying it can't happen. 0 patients, $2 million in debt. I get a little anxious. I would rather buy the $1 million practice for $800,000 with 1,800 active patients because it's a car. I like cars. I like to go really fast. Right? You are starting off in a walk, and I'm immediately going 150. Right? So this is what you're buying. You're buying the vehicle. Your vehicle is the same by vehicle. Life, where are you going to go? You're 30 and broke. I was 30 and broke. I'm just down the racetrack a little bit further. Okay? So this is your journey. How fast do you want to go? Well, you can start from scratch or you buy something that's already working. Then take that, bring her or him in, and take it to the next level. You can go faster. So, all right. So So that's why I'm not a fan. Take a look at a practice real quick, and then see what questions we got. This is a practice example I've been using for years. It's an 800 collection practice when the young man got in there. So it really wasn't, it really didn't say, hey, we should do this is like an associate partner thing. This particular practice, though, was a 800 collection practice, and the conversation went like, hey, I'm only going to be there for 2 years. So they actually established the practice price of $600,000 for the 800 collection practice, and they kind of pushed forward for another 2 years. It got to be $1.2 million. Looked at the financials, tax return previous year. The guy's making $650,000. The owner is. He has the ability to buy it for $600,000. We're going to buy it. I mean, I'm on the phone, it's on speaker. I'm like, how fast can we buy the practice? Well, it's outdated, and it needs this, and Patterson came in and said it needs. I don't care. We're going to buy it. It works. You did $1.2 million. It's doing $100,000 a month. We are going to buy it. Basic question is, how much dentistry is the buyer doing? What did you learn? It's doing $100,000 a month. What percentage, as I say, about is restorative, and what amount is hygiene? What was approximately the percentages? How much is the restorative piece? What percentage? The dentistry side. About 70, 75, something like that. So in this example, what I want to see is, how much dentistry are you doing a month? Well, I'm doing around 60. You can do 70. Okay? If you can do 60, I promise you can do 70. He's doing around 60 a month. That's his busiest month. He can do 70. He can run the whole practice. So when you're doing that 60, was the doctor at it? Yes. How was it? Was it crazy? You went home and cried to the wife, and I can't do this. Was it fun? It's really fun. You can do the work. The guy can run the practice by himself. $1.2 million, that's $650. With all the outdated crap you can ever imagine, you can buy a bunch of stuff. You can borrow $300,000 extra and make this the practice of all practices. Price is down at $600, it's $900. Borrow $900,000, he will still make $540,000 after paying the bank. How much cash does he need? Probably on $40,000, $50,000 sitting in the bank. Well, he might need more like $50 if he's going to borrow $900. No brainer. I am jumping through the phone saying we are doing the deal. How quick can we close? No brainer. Quickly. Do it this month? We have an attorney? Have you talked to banks? When can we close? What's the deal with the building? I don't care. Let's buy the practice. This is the jumping through the phone of we're going to buy this. Well, he said this. No. How quick? Let's overpay him. Let's give him a bonus. Don't care. He wants to do it in December. It's June. Let's give him $650. What? You're going to pay him more than the price? I thought I'm paying you to help me. Yeah, here's the math. As an owner, you're making $600,000. As an associate, you're making $200,000. That's a $400,000 difference. $400,000, I don't know, per month. $30-something thousand a month. 6 months is $180. $180 is more than $25,000 or $50,000. It's crazy, but I would be willing to do something like that just to speed the process up. Finance that money, depreciate it, write it off, don't brainer. It's out of the box. How quick can I get this done? Critical path. Very common to see this practice that you guys would purchase. About a $650 practice, somewhere around $450 price. It's a great type of practice for a 1 year out associate. You can easily do the $40,000 of clinical dentistry. Easy check the one hygienist in a $650 practice. You make like $250 and then around $200 after that. I got no problem with that's your first practice. I want to ask you some things about new patients, I want to ask you about chairs. I don't want to buy something too small. Marketing. I want to try to envision what the future is going to look like for that practice. But this is a great practice to start out and buy. Very low risk, and I think you can take that practice up to $1 million in a couple of years. Okay? So very common to see this, and you got the money for it. This all makes sense that you would buy something like that. Maybe your spouse is already in the area. She likes the area. He likes the area. So just something to kind of think about. A big proponent of the real estate as well. And like real estate, I want you to own the real estate of the practice. I want you to own your home real estate. And then eventually, we want to own other real estate for investment properties. But the guy or gal that just wants all investments, all real estate, because that sends you a check and that's mailbox money, that's an idea. Just have to look on the whole wealth accumulation thing. It's just not as effective when you look at tax efficiencies, not just going up to getting your $8-10 million, but even on the backside. So just balance the whole all-in real estate and balance the whole, I just don't want to own real estate, I just want to save. Own the practice, own your home, save a bunch of money, get excess cash, and do some other real estate projects as well. What did you learn? Get out of school, get the experience, 1 or 2 years, save the cash. So if the $1 million practice is for sale, about an 80-85% valuation number there, so that means that $1 million practice is going to list and sell for about $850. You need about 6% of that money. So around $50,000. 6% of that, how much you borrow. Important number. That's what the banks tell me. That's Bank of America, provide these major banks that lend billions of dollars to you. Billions. Like $3-4 billion just in dentistry between those two banks. They're the big players. Bank of America and Provide. Now you're going to own. Now you own. I want you to market and grow and keep things efficient. And then when you make a lot of money, you learn taxes are your evil. How do you come by taxes? You own the business. Biggest tax section is your pension plan. Lastly, step 6. So that is our 6 critical steps. We talked about the why. How is your marketing yourself? Creating a team around you to help you do that process. We've got pitfalls over your 30 years is maybe just working as an associate for 30 years, working for 5 years. Then I'll do a startup. So just think about your journey to 30 years, and really, I will tell you to make sure that you're connecting with people, dentists that have a really successful career, and figure out what they did, and don't be afraid to copy it. Starting a practice, kind of unique situation. I can be sold on it. Just know your uphill battle. Student debt is step 6, not step 1. Student debt is not step 1, it's step 6. So you gotta deal with that debt. And you tell me grandma's already giving you 100 grand, and you're working, perfect. You got a trust fund already set up, and what should I do? And I don't know, just, you're in that situation, don't raise your hand and say, I got a bunch of money, what should I do with it? Just talk to me later. When and how to negotiate a deal. If you come across a great deal, don't mess it up. This is where you get a little like, well, I mean, I get the value, but it's like the equipment is really old. And, you know, he wants this and she wants this. I'm like, don't mess this up. This is an amazing deal. Okay. So just understand, if you come across something, 3 or 4 people are telling you this is an amazing opportunity, that know what they're talking about. Not, no offense, your parents. Somebody that's dental specific, CPA, and has done it 1,000 times. If that person's telling you this is amazing, another practice owner that's highly successful, they're looking and say, this is an amazing opportunity. Don't mess this up. We are starting to feel good about this opportunity. Okay? I'd rather you come to me after you hear that, and I'll endorse that you are definitely going on the right road. So that's the Hinman program. Obviously, you learned a bunch tonight. I will expand on a lot more kind of case studies and expand upon the partnership conversation, expand on the acquisition side of things. So for my Louisville people and obviously for my Kentucky people to take advantage of that, I would love to see you guys there. That is my colleague, Christine. She started off as an employee with me. She's now a very successful owner. She's got the whole work-life balance thing out now. She's got 2 kids and balances. We started another company with her as well. I'm proud. You know, she was an employee of mine. I shared a vision with her. We grew the business. She became an owner of it. She runs the business. She runs another business on her own. We own together. It's amazing. I want this for you. I want you to be an owner. I want you to share your vision with your team and have them just like, wow, every patient that's coming through. I want you to share that vision with an associate and let them wow. You do this together. You pull back a little bit in life. You have to pull back. Spend quality time with your kids. I'm telling you right now, I work really, really, really hard in my career. Very hard. I out-hustle my partners. You know, I had to. It's just that it's my competitive edge. I needed to be and go out and do a lot of things. And do I regret it? Sure, I regret it. I had two beautiful kids. I traveled a lot and did coach for 9 years. So I was not like I was an absent dad or anything. but miss some weekends, traveling, going to dinner meetings, things like that. Life's a little short. Own the business with a little bit of balance, but I'm telling you, work hard early, those first few years, make a bunch of money, take some of that money, invest in creating time. That's people that serve you, either your employees, could be an associate, people at your home, nannies, the yard guy, pool guy. It's kind of nice. You don't try to do all this on your own. Focus on those things. The clinical, growing the business, good team around you, be profitable. So she has certainly done that, proven herself, and she is my co-host on our podcast. She's got a great. Anybody listen to the podcast? She's got a great voice. That's the company's River King Waters. Can't afford them. Big name. Can't afford them yet. When you can afford them, that's the owner. I own a business, make a lot of money, and taxes are my issue. Call me. And then NDP is obviously the company there that can help on educating you, coaching you, motivating you, doing a coaching call, and maybe for one or two or how many people help you on the transition side. So we got a lot out of that. Keep on the education and expanding on. I think I have 4 courses at the Hinman, so I'm not short of words. I literally have 3-hour days, 6 hours like on one day that I'm lecturing, so I can talk, as you can see. More questions before we close up, because
If they get them right, they can get. If you get the question right, we're going to give some of these out for the NDP water bottles. Let's do D1s and D2s. Let's see what you guys know.
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah.
I like how we did this on the spot. Okay, where are my D1s? Okay, so I would ask. So you had to ask the lady first. So, what is your name? Mina? Okay, great. Mina, can you tell me 5 reasons you own a business?
It's better, get more, pay, like.
Yeah, more money. Yeah, I'll help you there. That's close enough. Yep.
Less taxes.
Less taxes.
Higher pension.
Yes, higher pension. That's 3. That's pretty dang close. So 3 out of 5. That's enough.
You control your schedule.
What's that?
You control your own schedule.
Control your destiny. 4 out of 5 is freaking really good. Okay, there's one more, and then whoever gets the one more. So let's go to the D2s now. Any D2 in the house? There was one more. I'll tell you what she said. You make more money. Tax planning, pension planning, control your own destiny. Okay. D3s. Does anyone have the answer? D4s. Should I sweeten the pot, throw in some cash? I was generous. I was really good on the crap table. I've had a good time in Vegas. Very good time. Won some money. Got a whole bunch of $100 bills in my pocket. And I was just throwing them out as the thing. I was like, "We're doing drawings. I'm giving cash away." My daughter's like, "What?" I was like, "Yep."
Wow.
Number 5 reason it's worth.
Network.
So it's network. Bring in a little bit. So you're gaining your network, which is kind of the money. I don't know sure if is that what you're talking about?
One, you sell it.
So what?
The
The practice is the equity in the business. That's what you guys. That's our winner right there. Yes, the equity in your business. You're exactly right. So the business we talked about, it does $1 million. It grows to $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. We had the example of the associate coming in, $1.7 million, $1.8 million, $2 million, didn't want to buy, bring the girl in, and now we got $2.5 million. The equity in the business, another $1 million out of the business. So absolutely. What did we say? Give me. Let's do D3s now. Give me. Where's my D3s? Raise your hand. You were first. Raise your hand. So you right here. Yes. No. Yep. Right here. Yep. Give me 3 or 4 things to market yourself.
You got the mailer campaign. You've got, which you can do through NDP or by yourself or through demographics. You've got your network, like Patterson. Or
Yes. You're building a network. Yes.
Building your network.
Expand on another network. Anything else besides just Patterson person?
Faculty.
Faculty. Yep. Okay. I think that's a winner there. I got a great a networking thing. This is brilliant. I mean, I wanted to hug this girl. So I got a practice transition course. I'm teaching this at the Rocky Mountain Dental Meeting years ago. And literally like 200 people in the course. I am fired up. And I got this young little cute 27-year-old fireball. And she's in the audience. And at the end of it, she says, can I just let everyone know here tonight that I'm an associate. I've got 2 years of experience. I just moved from California. I'm new to Denver. I actually have some resumes here. I am really a hard worker. If there's anybody who's looking, there's a bunch of old people, and I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? I say, here's what you're going to do. I'm going to make you successful. You get in the back of the room, because it's going to be awkward for these people to come up. You stand in the back of the room, and then you just want to hand it. If you see gray hairs, you just hand them out. She did. This is what I'm talking about. This is like, you gotta be different. Do not freaking look on your phone. I'm looking for a practice for sale. Let's see what's available. Can't find anything, Charles. Come on. Do something different than that. Doesn't work. You're competing against literally 7 billion people that have a phone just like you. Don't. So it's lazy. $400,000 in debt. Have a why, have a how, and do something. You will create something different. Great freaking practices get sold to corporate unless you make a move. Good-looking girls, good-looking boys, they get swooped up unless you make a move. That's how this happens. Right? Never get swooped up, by the way. I was not a good-looking kid in high school. No swooping for me. I was knocked 8 times and get struck out 8 times. Yep, keep going. Didn't go to college right after high school. That did not work well, living next to SMU. And yeah. Oh, you're a waiter? Oh, no. I have dreams more than a waiter. Yeah. I struck out a few times, you know. Fun on the dance floor, but then after that, I had no career. And I was like, okay, I guess I need to get a career. So worked out well for me, but I was a slow starter in life.
Charles, we got another question for
Yes,
you.
sir.
Is there any mechanism or technique you'd recommend related to minimizing tax liability via 401k for a non-owner associate?
So as an owner, there's not any creativity, man. The only thing you can do is deduct your 401k. You can deduct the interest on your home, deduct your kids, your church. That's it. That is your tax deductions. I'm telling you, TurboTax, $49, do your own freaking taxes. There's no creativity. That's it. That's it. So, I know everyone wants to beat up former presidents and former politicians about their taxes. There's creativity in taxes. He said it himself early on. I'm only doing what you guys came up with. I'm taking advantage of the law. Take advantage of the law. I'm not saying I agree with everything he did, but I did like the common sense of, I own a business and lots of them. I will take advantage of it. You can too. Play the game as long as it's available. Awesome. Anything else? We have more? We have more?
We got 2 more.
2 more? Okay. Yes, question back here?
So with our generation facing like the threat of potential DSOs trying to take over,
Thank you.
do you see benefits in looking to get in hybrid situations? So like you said, like pediatrics and ortho better than just being a single player, so that when that threat does come to your area, maybe it's harder for them to figure out how to take over and compete with you?
So first, let me address, you actually made a couple of comments there. So the question is about DSOs and competition. Then there was a question about somehow maybe specialists should, work together, somehow create a stronger culture in your practice that prevents perhaps a DSO. Let me address the first thing. The DSOs today are about 16 to 17% of the overall corporate position. So if there's 100,000 dentists, you've got about that $17,000 or 17,000 number of corporate. That number is given by these big DSO conferences. The first thing you need to know is, what is your competition? Around 16, 17%. That number was 8% less than 5 years ago. That's growing, okay? At these DSO conferences, I will tell you that they have very nice, good-looking suits. They stand and they exude with confidence that this business is done. The business of dentistry is done. We're going to take it over. 5 years, we'll own the whole thing. They're saying it up there with just the most ridiculous confidence. And it just makes me mad. Okay? Now, we don't know each other that well, but this is why I do what I do. I get a passion to come and teach to give you guys some hope. I enjoy this. I will not hop on planes if I did not enjoy this. I'm financially in a good position. Okay? I'm doing this out of my joy of this and to motivate. Because people come up to me when I travel and they give me some look in the eyes of, I really do appreciate you, Charles. What you said to me 3 years ago, 5 years ago, it is impacting me. That's why I do what I do. Okay? So, first question is, I don't believe that will happen. I don't believe they're taking over this business. I do think they'll continue to grow. They'll probably be somewhere around 30% or something like that. Eventually, you know, if you're not educated, you don't share your message as leaders and work together as a team, then if you want to listen to that message and only hear that message, then you're going to do that thing. You listen to one thing, social media, one this and that, that's the only thing you read. If you only read this and you don't read this, guess what? You're going to think just like this. If you don't hear the other side of why you need to own the business, then you're going to go over there and work with them. With regards to working, I think what you need to know is this. If you have an 1,800 patient practice that's doing $1 million, your patients are not leaving you because of corporate or somebody else did a better marketing letter. Period. End of story. Never happening. The one or two that do leave, they will come back. Period. That is fact. Patients are extremely nervous about a relationship with the dentist. Once they go, it is a very trusted relationship. I always tell the stories like, I go to my dentist, I usually park in the same parking spot. I usually sit in the same chair in the waiting room. Then I brush my teeth, in the little spot. Then I sit back and I always sit in the same hygiene chair with the same hygienist. I just have this little routine, and that's what the patient wants. It's just a routine. They're not going to like, well, how much is your crown? It's $1,000? I got a quote over here for $900. You can go over there. I'm not doing price matching here. I've got 1,800 active patients with 40 new out the door. The Peter and Ortho, 100%. Love it. Most beautiful marriage of the planet. For who? The Ortho. And I can say for the pedo, because pedo's going to grow with the ortho, and they're going to sell the ortho, they get to pull the equity out. Beautiful marriage. The others, not like surgeons or periodontists are coming together. No. There are some, but no. Don't see them. There's kind of a concept of, all the 4 or 5 GPs that have the specialists all within that certain area. That's fine. It's not like that's some magical recipe and all those are way more successful than your strip mall right over here with a 2,000 square foot regular sign with the same 1,800 active patients. It's not like that one over there is just like crushing it. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Okay. The red hair, what is this guy? He's just very insightful. You see, he's a processor, he's a thinker. What year are you?
I'm a first year.
Oh, I bet you last year. Were you here last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you weren't even in it. You weren't even you were just getting in, or you were trying to get in, right, weren't you?
Still not here.
Yeah, I remember you, and I was thinking, you're going to make it. And I can already tell, as a first year, I'm very impressed. Yeah. I remember I was impressed last time. I was like, why are you here and how? I'm betting on you. Yeah. What else? Ladies, that's a good single man right there. I'm just telling you right now. I see a future in him. I see a bright future. He's a very driven man. All right, you're not gonna be the comedy guy here, All right, what other question? Yes.
When you're working with clients, do you see any difference between the people who associate at the office that they then purchase versus just, they did somebody who was associated for the same amount of time, but then goes in fresh to a purchase?
They're both equally successful. So the question is, I worked here as an associate A practice. I bought the practice. It was doing $1.2 million. Same overhead. Is that guy or gal more successful because he was already there versus this a-hole kicked him out and sold to corporate? Now he moves, but we buy the same practice over here. Which one would have been more successful? It's the same. The fear that you guys have is what I was alluding to, is that these patients are going to go away. They're not going away. Even when the transition happens, they're so freaked out about trying another place, they'd rather try with you. If you're a good dentist and you have good, chairside manner, and you're a good leader, they're going to stay. One quick thing on leadership. You may not perceive yourself as a leader. You're a leader. You start off as a leader in your home, with you and your spouse, you and your kids. You start off being a leader in small little groups like this. You start going to a dental practice. You're just an associate. Become the leader with a few assistants in the hygiene and give them some motivation. Start practicing your leadership skills. Okay? Communication, just start it. And then take that all the way through, as an owner. Take leadership courses. Have a consultant come in to help you, teach you to be a leader. How your phones are answered, how case acceptance is done. What's your clinical goals, practice goals? Let somebody else see that you're not a leader and help you become a leader. Let someone see that you have an employee that's literally a cancer to your practice. Let them point that out and tell you how to deal with that. These are things that are going to be super important. This is what I would see. Which guy or gal is more successful? Clinically, driven, and leadership. Leadership can be taught. It's a little bit by failure, but it's like I said, it's not going to be easy, but it's an amazing road for you. 3-4 days a week. No reason you're not leaving at 4:30 every day. 5 at the latest. Anything else, guys? I believe in this organization. I'll say it one more time. I do. I really do. I was very proud, and I don't hesitate to come and to do this. And it's unique that you get something outside of the norm. You guys come together and share good ideas, and I think it's awesome. And I sincerely appreciate you coming in the evening to hear this, and for the people online, same thing. It's a big deal. You take time out of your evening. I hope I gave you something back and maybe motivated you and pushed you a little bit. And just remember, you can do this, and never let anyone tell you differently. No matter what your situation is, ownership is always the best, most creative path for your future. So, all right, gang. Thank you.